Mr. Right here, and in this film we are going to look at reverse percentage changes, or finding the amount before a percentage change. You see, very often you're given the amount after a percentage change, and you're asked to find the amount before that change. Let's look at an example. Here's an example question. A painting's value decreases by 20%. It's now worth 440. What was it worth before? Now, it's tempting to simply think, well, I can take 440 and I can increase that by 20% to give me the amount it was worth before the decrease of 20%. That would involve multiplying by 1.2 or 1.20. But this will give you the wrong answer. Because when the painting was originally decreased by 20%, when the value of the painting was originally decreased by 20%, it was decreased by 20% of the old value, not 20% of the new value. So you can't take 20% of the new value and add it on to get the old value. It's just not going to work. So we need a different method to solve these kinds of problems. Now I've got two methods for you, and let's look at both of these methods with this question about a painting. Now the first method involves thinking what happens when you go forwards and then go backwards. And the second method involves thinking about what percentage you've got now. Let's have a look at each of those methods in turn. Right, here's the question. A painting's value decreases by 20%. It's now worth 440. What was it worth before? Well, if we were going forwards, we would have the original value, and then we would decrease that by 20%. Oh, how do you do that? You multiply, don't you, by 0. What's left? 0.8 or 0.80. And then we would end up with 440. So that's what it would be like if we were going forwards. So what about if we're going backwards? What about if we start with the 440 and we go backwards? Well, instead of multiplying by 0.8, we're going to divide by 0.8. So what we'll do to get the original value is 440 divided by 0.8. Now, that gives you 550, and that will be the original price. And you can test that by thinking about if it had been 550 at the beginning, reduce that by 20%, and I bet you get 440. So that's method one, when we think about going forwards with the reduction and then going backwards. Let's have a look at method two. Same question, second method. Right. In method two, we have to think about what percentage we've got now. So if the painting's value has decreased by 20%, we've now got 80% of that original value. And that 80% equals £440. So if we have got 80% equals 440, we can work out 1% by dividing by 80. 440 divided by 80 gives me 5.5. And once we know 1%, we can work out 100% of the original value, the whole of the original value, by multiplying that 1% by 100, giving me 550. So maybe you prefer method one, or maybe you prefer method two. Don't make up your mind yet. Let's look at both of those methods with a question involving an increase. Right, here's the question. A house increases in value by 15%. It's now worth £580,750. What was it worth before? Well, let's start with method one. Let's go forwards, think what we would do, and then go backwards. So if we were going forwards, we'd start off with the original value. We're increasing by 15%. So what would we multiply by? 1 point the increase, multiply by 1.15, and we are then given the value after that increase, 580,750. So if we're going backwards, we're going to do 580,750 divided by 1.15. Okay, 580,750 divided by 1.15 gives me, press the wrong button, I think I'll do that again. 580,750 divided by 1.15 gives me an answer of 505,000. So that's method 1. Now let's have a think about method 2. If we were using method 2, we'd ask ourselves, okay, after the increase in value, what percentage do I have now? Well, you used to have 100% of the original figure. You've increased it by 15%. So now you've got 115% of the original value. And you know that that equals 580,750. So now I can do 580,750 divided by 115 to find 1%. So divide by 1.115 gives me 5050, and now I can multiply by 100 to get 100%, to get the whole of the original value. There you are again, 505,000. So that is how to deal with percentage increases or decreases in reverse. That is how to find the amount before a percentage change. And you might like method 1, where we thought about going forwards and then went backwards. Or you might like method 2, where we thought about what percentage of the original we had after the change.